Tyler mentioned that you, JD, and Drew were always going to play in this game, even though you were in Boston last night. Why was it important to you to play in a game like this? Why, did all three of you want to play in a game like this, and how important is this playoff run to you as a guy who was on the team last year?
Yeah, I mean, it's as important as, the Celtics, like Boston Celtics going on their playoff run, Both of us have a goal of getting somewhere and winning something. And so for me, having unfinished business from last year, coming down here to be able to beat a team that, beat me when I was here last year, early in the season, it felt good to get that get back. And, I heard that there was a little controversy, there was a little scuffle last game they were here. And so it was real personal for everybody. So I had to come in and kind of like bring my energy.
Yeah, Tyler mentioned he told you he wanted you to get a bunch of rebounds. Obviously, you got a guy like Moses Brown down there who, speaking of the scuffle last game as well, like, why was it important, do you think, for you guys to send all your attention to him? What was his impact on the game, and how do you feel like you guys responded to that physicality?
I think we responded well. I think everybody played a part in shutting him down, or at least trying to maintain him a little bit. I think going into the game, everybody did have a mentality of, all right, yeah, they have all these other guys who are shooters who can play and all this, but like the head of the snake is Moses. And so if we keep him off the glass, keep him from getting easy layups, like send him to the free throw line, it's a 40% free throw shooter or something like that. So get him to the free throw line, make him make free throws, and then guard the other guys straight up and try not to foul. So that's kind of like how we went in with it, and I feel like everybody bought into that and like did their job as a part of that.
How different do you feel now playing with the main Celtics as you did last year? Like, do you feel like a different player at all, or just kind of, how's that change been?
I feel like I'm better for sure. I feel like I understand like my play style and how I fit into systems better. I feel like the buy-in is also greater. Obviously, the team is different, so trying to find a way to find my role with this team, whether it's scoring, rebounding, getting stops, whatever it is, trying to make that happen. But at the end of the day, like whatever it is to win is the most important thing. And so whatever in that moment it calls for, and that's what I'm going to try to step up and do.
When you say the buy-in is greater, do you mean like in a specific way, just buying into like what the coach is saying, or defensively?
I would say more buying into like what my role is supposed to be. Like still like taking like somewhat of a back seat to JD and like the other guys there, just still because it's still their team. I don't want to come in and just like try to like completely take over the game or like do my own thing. So I'm trying to still buy into like their system, their culture, and like what they have going on.
Obviously, JD had a relatively slow start, and then he had, I think, 21 points in the last, 15 minutes of the game. Last time we talked to you, we didn't know, or the world didn't know he was the MVP, but now he is the MVP. Mm-hmm. What about him allows him to take over, and what have you seen in your 2 years playing with him in terms of growth and everything like that?
I don't even know. I just know he can hoop, and so he's really good at just controlling the pace of the game. I feel like late in the game today, he showed a lot of leadership, slowing us down and getting us all together, me particularly, specifically. But I feel like he plays that role and he takes charge of it like the whole game. And I feel like it shows like in his stats. But like I feel like a lot of people do also underestimate the fact that he's commanding the floor and like telling guys where to go, telling them what to do, getting everybody on the same page, which is really important.
You said he slowed you down specifically. Was that like a moment in the game? Like, was it he pulled you aside and said something? Was it just the way he plays? Like, was there a moment where like he did something that like was like, all right, I gotta slow down?
Yeah, after I pushed that guy on the free throw line, he was like, get off the free throw line and go stand back there. And I was like, all right, cool. And he just walked off. I was mad, but I walked off.
Is he leading more vocally? He told us, I think, last game that he's been trying to be more vocal leader this year. Is that something you notice? And like, what are the differences between last year, JD, in terms of being vocal and leading to this year?
I think a church mouse is louder than JD, for sure. But it's more of like him, like kind of like pointing and like, making faces. It looks like he's trying to talk, but you can't really hear what he's saying. But it's like, you go here, and so it's kind of a unique style of leadership. But he's definitely not talkative at all.
Okay.
They had a run, got it to a 2-possession game. Mm-hmm. Miles had a big alley-oop from JD. Then you had a big dunk plus a foul. Just that sequence, how important was it?
That was huge. It changed the tide of the game. I felt like when they cut it down, everybody on the bench and everybody kind of like that was watching was kind of like, the fans were like, yeah, this is the moment we make our push. And our bench was like, oh, my goodness, they're coming back, like it's getting too close, too comfortable. And so those 2 possessions swinging the momentum of the game back in our favor was super huge. And I felt like as soon as we did it, the energy in the arena kind of like went down. The fans were a little more quiet. Our bench was a little louder. And I felt like the morale of everybody, on our side, went up. And that's what we wanted, and that was the goal.
Is it weird for you to be away from Boston? Like, you've been with them all year, and now you're just going to do this. You're going to Orlando tomorrow, I assume. Like, is it weird for you, or are you kind of enjoying just being in a competitive environment like this?
No, I feel like this was my home first, so I feel like it's just me coming back home.
You mentioned the crowd like getting loud and then your bench getting louder after you guys. Was that something like conscious of in the middle of the game? Like you hear the crowd and they're loud and you do that and they're like, yeah, that's like. Is that something you're like thinking of in real time of like silencing the crowd?
Yeah, for sure. I remember I was at the free throw line, so fans were just chirping at me. Like, you suck, and I'm just looking like, okay, watch this. And so, of course, they're gonna talk when they're up. So we ended up cutting it back and like extending the lead again. I looked at that same section of fans. I don't know who it was, and we're just like, huh, what? And everybody was quiet. That was the greatest feeling ever.